Greetings enthusiasts, and welcome Chesapeake Explorers. Today, we're on a boat, more specifically the RV Whisper. It's a boat we acquired a couple months ago, had refit for about 2 months. I've got it out in the water now. It's exciting. We got a lot of plans for it, a lot of exploration of the bay with it. So join us. Let's get exploring.
As the saying goes, there's always a boat looking for an owner. As inspired by many adventurers in world history, there's something to be said about sailing. Sailing opened up the world, and we were looking for something that would do the same, plus be a platform for which we could explore the bay and be fun to operate. There's nothing quite as magical as moving along the body of the waters with the power of sail. Well, we found just the vessel, though in a state that was less than ready to go. Over the course of 2 months, we cleaned, painted, and refit the RV Whisper to get out onto the bay and learn a bit about sailing and handling this 1979 Helms 24. The boat has proven to be a great little vessel and offers a platform for observing and exploring the Chesapeake Bay. We've tested her out, and she has proven to be an exhilarating and motivating vehicle as we start to refurbish the interior to support our efforts as Chesapeake Bay explorers.
Well, here we are, getting out into the bay. It's a beautiful day, doing about 6.5 knots, depending. Great wind, great sail. Let's do some science. August on the bay. One thing about August on the bay, it's hot and humid, and sometimes no wind. But if you look down in the waters, like many locals know, you'll see a lot of jellyfish. Many species of jellyfish actually come to the bay throughout the year. For this episode, we're going to take a look at the jellyfish of the bay in the summer months.
In Gilbert Klinkle's The Bay, he describes a jellyfish encounter that many here in the Chesapeake can relate to during a sweltering day in August. After a hot walk through the Virginia pine forest, he went for a swim. He swam out to the remains of an old steamboat wharf, and being tired, took a nap. He woke sometime later and hopped into the water to return back to shore. After swimming a few yards, he felt pain on his arm and noticed the stinging tentacles of a sea nettle jelly. After brushing it off, he continued blundering into a mass of jellies. Stinging nettles abound, and he felt shots of pain on his arms, legs, torso, and face. In a panic, he dropped below the water and nearly drowned. His wits quickly returned, and he powered through the swarm and reached shore. Panting, he was feverish for the rest of the day and did not return to normal until the following afternoon. The summer months are when these gelatinous creatures can bloom and spread throughout the bay. Jellyfish are gelatinous zooplankton. You might be asking, what are zooplankton? Well, plankton are small plants and animals that are carried by currents in the tide. Zooplankton are the animals, with phytoplankton comprising plants. Now, jellyfish can be distinguished from one another by their shape, size, color, and other bodily features, as well as by where and when they typically occur. And when you may be surprised that the Chesapeake Bay has 8 typical species that visit throughout the year. But let's first look at the anatomy of these fascinating and alien-like creatures. A general description of a jellyfish would go something like this. You'd have a clear bell, canals, gonads, gut and muscle tissue visible. You'd also be able to distinguish the mouth, eye spot, and tentacles. Now, many people would misidentify tentacles from oral arms, but in this image you can clearly see a difference. Not all jellyfish have all of these components, and some are not all that clear. But the ones that frequent the bay are pretty easy to identify, and these are those 8 visitors. The first is the bay nettle. This is the most common one that many people here identify with. It has a painful sting, as many swimmers will tell you. A disc-shaped, milky white bell up to 8 inches wide. Some have reddish-brown stripes or splotches. Obvious tentacles 2 to 3 times as long as the bell is wide. Common in the summer and can be present from May to October. It is generally confined to brackish waters with salinities between 10 and 16 parts per thousand. It prefers water temperatures between 78 to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. The sting is moderately painful, but not dangerous unless you have an allergic action to it. Then of course you should seek immediate medical attention. An adult can have a bell up to 8 inches in diameter with 24 tentacles, several feet long. The next type of jelly that frequents the bay is the moon jelly. The moon jelly is present in lower Chesapeake Bay during the summer months as well. The sting is very mild and sometimes unnoticed. A distinguishing feature of the moon jelly is its clover-shaped gonads. The disc-shaped bell can grow to a size of a dinner plate. The tentacles are fine and make a short fringe that is not much longer than the bell is thick. The central gonads in the shape of a four-leaf clover are very, very prominent, as you can see here. Both the swimming bell and tentacles are clear to whitish in color. The next jelly that frequents the bay is the lion's mane jelly, believe it or not. The lion's mane jellyfish is more common in colder northern oceans, but can be found in lower Chesapeake Bay during the winter and early spring. The lion's mane jellyfish has very long tentacles, and they can be orange-brownish cast. Now, typically lion's mane jellyfish in the open ocean and in some regions can be very, very long. It's the world's largest jellyfish, with a bell up to 6 feet wide and tentacles exceeding 100 feet. But those that come into the bay are much, much smaller. The next jellyfish is the mushroom cap jelly. The mushroom cap jellyfish is an uncommon visitor into the lower Chesapeake Bay during the fall and early winter. Their stings are mild, or sometimes unnoticed. Their shape and size is similar to a cannonball. The mushroom cap jelly has a firm and dense swimming bell. Although the bell tends to be flatter, the bell lacks tentacles around its outside rim, but it does have thick oral arms, as you can see here, and they extend down from the center. An adult can have a bell up to 20 inches in diameter. The bell may be a creamy white to yellow, brown, blue, pink, or green. The oral arms may have brown or yellowish markings. A similar jelly is the cannonball jelly. The cannonball jelly is an uncommon visitor in the lower Chesapeake as well, during the winter months. The sting is mild, again, if felt at all. Adults range from the size of a softball to a volleyball. Like the mushroom cap jelly, the cannonball jelly lacks tentacles around the outside of the swimming bell. The outside edge of the bell is smooth compared to the fringing edge of the mushroom cap jelly, and has an overall rounder shape than mushroom cap. An interesting jelly that also frequents the bay is the sea walnut. The sea walnut, or comb jelly, is very common throughout most of the Chesapeake Bay, and while the population spikes seasonally, it is present year-round. Cenophores, like the sea walnut, do not sting. As the common name suggests, sea walnuts are shaped like the meat of a walnut. As adults, they lack tentacles and can grow to several inches in length, also known as a comb jelly, because they have rows of cilia that look very much like the teeth of comb. These cilia easily reflect light and cause pulsing rainbows to travel along their belly. Another interesting jelly is the sea gooseberry. The sea gooseberry is a rare visitor to Chesapeake Bay during the spring. Cenophores, like the sea gooseberry, do not sting. Instead, their tentacles possess, again, special adhesive cells. The size and shape is similar to the sea walnut. However, the sea gooseberry lacks the large lobes of the sea walnut, as seen here, and retains long, sticky tentacles into adulthood. They are typically transparent to white. In this image, you see the relative sizes of the jellyfish we've discussed so far. Let's talk about jellyfish stings, and here are some things you should know. Why and how do jellyfish sting? Jellyfish are slow-moving, weak animals. They use stinging tentacles to capture and immobilize their prey. Tentacles are covered with stinging cells called nematocytes, and these nematocytes discharge a tiny, harpoon-like structure that carries venom to the prey. Jellyfish tentacles often detach as well, and can easily remain stuck in the skin or on clothing. How to avoid a jelly and the sting. We're going to use the sea nettle as an example. This is the most common Chesapeake Bay perpetrator of painful stings. You want to avoid areas where flotsam collects. Remember, jellyfish move with the tides. Wear protective clothing. Swim late or early in the peak season. This season is between May and September. Sea nettles like brackish water, so swimming in fresh water or the open ocean is a bit safer than the brackish regions surrounding the bay. What to do if stung? While uncommon, you can have a very bad allergic reaction, and if this happens, you want to use something quick like an injectable and seek medical attention by calling 911. For localized stings, you can inactivate the tentacle with 5% acetic acid, that's full-strength vinegar. Remove the tentacles with tweezers, but do not scrape. Immerse in hot water, but not before you remove the tentacles. Water can trigger the remaining nematocytes to fire. Pat the area dry, and apply a 4% lidocaine spray. What not to do. Do not rinse with fresh water, as mentioned earlier. Do not shave the skin. This can cause additional tentacles to discharge. Do not apply alcohol or baking soda, meat tenderizer, shaving cream, urine. Seriously, these have been shown to exacerbate the pain, so just don't do them. Okay, class dismissed. Let's talk about the jellyfish food web. Jellyfish can be the dominant zooplankton during certain times of the year, and during these times they influence many other parts of the Chesapeake Bay ecosystem. At the base of the Chesapeake Bay food web are the phytoplankton. These single-celled organisms photosynthesize and grow using light, water, and nutrients. They are most abundant in the spring and summer when water temperatures are warmer and the days are longer, providing more light. While many animals consume phytoplankton, some of their main grazers are crustaceous zooplankton. They can include the most common animal in the bay, the cocopod, as well as larval crabs and shrimp. Comb jellies feed on phytoplankton as larvae, but quickly begin to feed on crustaceous zooplankton once they grow larger. Their populations explode in the spring when they're abundant, and they can eat almost all of the cocopods in the area. This means that they directly compete with larval and filter-feeding fish, who also feed on crustacean zooplankton. Sea nettles are at the top of the zooplankton predator list in the Chesapeake Bay, and while they do eat crustacean zooplankton and small fishes, their main prey item is comb jellies. Sea nettles reproduce when water temperatures reach around 62 degrees Fahrenheit in the spring. So years with a warmer spring and lower rainfall means years that we have more sea nettles. Sea nettles are also an important food source for some of the largest animals in the world. Both the largest bony fish, the mola mola, and the largest sea turtle, the leatherback, subsist almost solely on jellyfish. In the Chesapeake Bay, many fish, including the Atlantic spadefish and butterfish, feed on the sea nettle.
Well, enthusiasts, we hope you enjoyed this episode of Chesapeake Explorers. I hope you learned something too. I know I have. We have a few very exciting projects in the works, from the robots we showed you last episode, our research special this episode, and to a new project that entails building a telepresence system for students in citizen science to better explore the bay. But more on those later. We want to thank the Virginia Institute of Marine Science and the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute for the information that they helped provide for this episode. And if you want to continue to explore the world of the jelly, please do by visiting their websites. You can also check out the Virginia Aquarium's website listed below. As we continue to explore the bay, we hope you stay tuned and enjoy these episodes. In our next episode, we interview two notable women of the Chesapeake in our celebration of Virginia Archaeology Month that happened last October. That's all for now. Thank you for watching, and remember, keep exploring.